If you haven't had an opportunity to watch Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, stop listening now. Major spoilers, here we go. This is a podcast. This is a review, overview. This is a opinionated segment of just me, Translucent Origin, just kind of talking and going through all of this stuff that happened, just processing it all, because that movie that I just watched twice, back to back, it's something that it's going to take a while to process. Thankfully, we have a little bit of time. We have until August to see Suicide Squad. And then later on, we have the Wonder Woman coming through. And then obviously with the Justice League Part 1. So we have a lot of time to kind of sit here and say, damn, okay, what's going to happen next? Speculate a little bit. Think way outside of the box, because the way that this team, this Warner Brothers, Zack Snyder, DC Comics team has put together these movies, everything that you think that you know about the movie is wrong. And everything that you thought that you knew that was going to happen doesn't happen. And then all of a sudden something way out of the way comes out and comes along and just blows your mind. It blows your mind. It literally blows your mind away. Because tonight we mourn the loss of Superman. Superman is dead. We got Superman versus Doomsday. We got Wonder Woman versus Doomsday. We got Batman versus Doomsday, which is pretty much Batman running from Doomsday, because Doomsday is like fucking 19 feet tall. And he's crushing shit. He's crushing shit left and right. Gotham City is in ruin. This little Stryker Island is in ruin. Everywhere that you turn, there's just death and destruction, man. I love it. I absolutely love it. I couldn't get enough of it tonight. So let's talk about that tonight. Let's talk about right here, right now. And I keep saying tonight. It's 5:23 in the morning on March 25th, 2016. So happy Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Day to all of you DC Comic Extended Universe fans. Today's the day. If you are a fan of this stuff, if you're a fan of Man of Steel, if you're a fan of Zack Snyder, if you want to see your DC Comics live action happen, if you want to see the cinematic universe come alive, go out and support the movie with your money, okay? Don't listen to the haters, which are the critics, that don't even understand what they were able to see on the screen tonight. Don't even listen to those so-called Batman fans and so-called Superman fans that were pissed off because this movie wasn't a complete adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns. Oh, I'm so hurt. Oh, fuck. Lick my balls. Lick my balls and lick my balls. And don't forget the taint. Lick all up in that taint. Make me feel good. Make me feel good. You make me feel good. You make me feel good. Hey, shout out to Halle Berry. You are the best Catwoman we've ever seen. I hope that you can return. I hope that Zack Snyder picks you up. Don't listen to him. Seriously, man. This is a good movie. It's a very entertaining movie. The whole purpose of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice is, number one, was to pit Batman versus Superman and to have Superman answer for the events of Man of Steel. So, Batman doesn't get justice inside of humanity, meaning that inside of the courts, which are blown up by a person called Wally, who went apeshit in his little wheelchair because of LexCorp, he blows up the Senate hearing. Batman is watching it live while being spoon-fed threats, and I guess you can say lies is the best way to call it, from LexCorp, from good old Lex Luthor. He perceives that as Superman destroying the Senate hearing and holds him responsible. And that's where we get the Batman v Superman. So Batman versus Superman happens because of that. And then it's called Dawn of Justice because it's the dawn of the Justice League. And also a dawn of a new form of justice, which is the justice that is provided by superheroes. Meaning whoever Batman recruits going forward. And we know that already we have Diana Prince, aka Wonder Woman, who is standing by the side, or at the side of Bruce Wayne at the end of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. And then we have the words that were given by Bruce Wayne that says that he must recruit. And that is recruiting Cyborg, Aquaman, and the Flash. I guess you can say the person that started this whole entire Justice League movement is the Flash, is Barry Allen from the future. So there really shouldn't be any sort of complaints from anybody. Now, don't get me wrong, if you are a comic book fan and you watched this beginning, this announcement of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, when it was called Man of Steel 2, and then it was called The Dark Knight Returns, and then it was called Man of Steel 2, The Dark Knight Returns, and it was called Batman vs. Superman, then it was called Batman v Superman, then it was called Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. So we've went through a lot. And I think it is kind of disheartening to those fans that, I don't know, that they were at Comic-Con, they were told that this movie, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, was going to be inspired by, The Dark Knight Returns, and then they had Harry J. Lennox read a little quote from, the Dark Knight Returns, and Frank Miller was involved, and all of this, I guess you could say, Dark Knight Returns mumbo jumbo was tossed around, and then all of a sudden you watch it, and I'm guessing, because I haven't watched, The Dark Knight Returns, but I read some of the reviews, and it's not what you thought it would be. Like, I'm guessing that the sniper rifle, which was used inside of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, was supposed to be used on Superman, but instead we get some sort of spear, and the spear's not even used. and I don't know, it's just, I guess it's bad. I guess it's a bad thing. I have no clue. I gotta go watch the thing and find out, but a lot of fans, a lot of fanboys are raging over this. They got their panties all in the twist over this. And the reason why is because they thought too much. They couldn't just arrive to the cinema and say, damn, you know what? I'm entertained. Amen, brother, I'm entertained, man. This is pretty cool. We're finally getting to see, these two iconic characters on the screen for the first time. We know that the goal is to bring forth the Justice League. And we got this much action inside of one film. Imagine what the fucking Justice League movie is going to be like. We got Superman versus Doomsday, which is literally Superman versus Doomsday. And then we got the death of Superman. We also got a version of Bizarro inside of this movie. We also got a zombie fucking Superman in the sky. And then we also got Wonder Woman versus Doomsday. We got Batman versus Doomsday. Even though he didn't really fight him that much, but if it wasn't for Batman shooting the kryptonite, then Wonder Woman would not have been able to secure him with the lasso of truth, which made him actually tell the truth. He wanted to die. Because as soon as she hit him with that motherfucking lasso of truth, he gave up. I'm not gonna lie. I wanna die. He was just General Zod, man. He was hurting, man. And what can you stand for, Kal-El? He was Doomsday was just hurting, man. He was hurting, he wanted to go, and then Superman came and he hit him in the chest with the spear, and that was it. I mean, we got improvements from Man of Steel. We didn't get to hear Superman go, Aah! He didn't scream as much. All of the complaints from Man of Steel, they solved it, and then all of a sudden people still can't fucking appreciate the genius that is Zack Snyder. Now, if this movie does fail, the sad thing is that most likely Zack Snyder will be replaced. And at that point, everything will begin to fall apart for the DC Extended Universe. Deborah and Zack, man, they put a lot of fucking hard work and sweat, blood, and tears into this shit. And it's sad, man, that this entire world that we live in has been marvelized by fucking Disney. And they can't even appreciate a good movie anymore. We have shit like Star Wars The Force Awakens being called great. We have shit like Guardians of the Galaxy and Ant-Man and Avengers Age of Ultron. All the shitty Phase 2 movies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe being held and celebrated. And then we have masterpieces like Man of Steel just being shoved aside. Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice being shoved aside. And then we still have websites and companies called Rotten Fucking Tomatoes that are still alive and living, thriving at being purchased. A rating being purchased, man. And if you think I'm like, oh, this is conspiracy theory, no, it's true, man. It is literally impossible that when you put these movies next to all of these other movies, when you put Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice next to all these movies that they're saying are so good, it's impossible. There's no way that we can have such a low rating right now. Especially when, you know, your audience that's going to see the movie has it at least a 70%. It's fascinating stuff, man. But anyway, man, I digress. Okay, so we talked about a lot of characters the last podcast, and I had to just get that stuff out of my mind. The reason why is because, you know, I can't function, man, when I have shit inside of my mind and my brain. I gotta let that shit out, you know. And there's nothing better than just releasing the pressure and the temperature, man, because it starts to rise inside of your mind, and it's good to get it out. So let's talk about, let me see. We talked about Wallace. Let's talk about Bruce Wayne, man. Let's go with Bruce Wayne, Batman. Number one, the introduction to Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice gives us the introduction to Thomas Wayne, Martha Wayne, and Bruce Wayne. It is the beginning of Thomas and Martha, and it is also the end of Thomas and Martha Wayne. They are gunned down right outside of that famous location. I'm not going to tell you where. The reason why is because I do know from my comic book history that was actually comic book source. Okay? And the way that Zack Snyder delivers on these beautiful visuals, man. I don't know if it's him responsible for this one. And I got to do some research on this, because to have the pearls break because of the gun going off. Oh my gosh, man. You can't beat it. You cannot beat it. If you weren't in tears during that scene, I am 100% convinced that you have no soul, you have no heart, you're a heartless fuck. That's what I honestly 100% believe if you weren't in tears in that scene, man. It was one of the greatest comic book moments in the history of comic books. It was absolutely beautiful, absolutely perfect, man. For Thomas to stand in front of Martha and Bruce, knowing that death is literally knocking on his door, like in moments you will be dead. And he says, you know what? If I'm going to die, I'm going to die in front of my family a fucking man. Not a scared ass little bitch, a man, goddammit. I'm going to stand here. I'm going to fight for what is right. My right to live in Gotham City. Just like Bruce Wayne said, maybe it's the Gotham City in me that makes Thomas Wayne so fucking dope. I mean, I sat here and I was just cheering, man, as I'm crying. I'm bawling because I knew it was done. As soon as he went forward, it seemed as if maybe Thomas Wayne was the one that threw the first punch. Maybe it's the same way with the Han Solo situation. Did he really shoot first? Who knows? But in this situation, I'm saying that Thomas Wayne began to punch. He reached out to try to connect with that guy. And that's what caused him to get shot. Not saying that he wasn't going to get shot anyway. The guy was already raising the pistol up. He was already aiming it. He was already about to fire it anyway. And then Martha, she comes next because Thomas is on the ground. He's dying. He's been shot. Bruce is screaming. Martha comes forward because the gun is pointed at Bruce, but instead of letting her son die, the mother steps in front of the son. And she gives her life, man. She gives her life, the ultimate sacrifice. And then Bruce Wayne is just left there. Pearls dropping down into the sewer. He just left there to scream. You know, all you can do in the audience, man, is just pray, and cry, and just hope that this fucking scene is over with, because god damn, Zack Snyder, why do you have me feeling some sort of way? Why did you make me cry, Zack? You made me cry, Zack Snyder. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, man. I cried. I cried so many times during this fucking movie, man. This movie had me really messed up, man. But Bruce Wayne, man, he proved himself. It was really, really great. The young Bruce Wayne, I don't know what the actor's name was, but him falling down into that shaft, it didn't happen that way. We'll probably get to see that, more than likely we'll get to see that at the beginning of the new Batman series, if it happens. I mean, according to these critics, it shouldn't happen. And it's sad. It's sad that that happens that way, that film franchises end. Begin and end. Begin with no rating and end because of ratings. It sucks. Absolutely sucks. But those bats carrying him up, man, to safety. Almost like I guess you could say like the wings of an angel, man, just lifting him up out of that gutter back into society, man. He fell down, man. He just ran into the woods. I don't know where he was going, but he just ran and ran and ran, and then he fell. And those bats came, man. Bruce Wayne was powerful. He was strong. He was independent. He had the swag. It was just this natural swag to him. A lot better and more, I guess you could say, enjoyable than Tony Stark. Doesn't come off as a dick. Doesn't come off as just an ass-face clown. Just comes off as a regular guy, man. A regular guy who's a little bit of a playboy. Who really doesn't like going around people and being around people unless there's something to, how do you want to say it? Something that benefits him, for his benefit, his enjoyment. I do like that they didn't, flaunt women around. There was a woman that had no name that was lying in bed. I didn't really appreciate that because, a woman just lying in bed, treats the woman as a fucking piece of meat, rather than the actual human being, and that pisses me off royally. I don't like that when any female character gets treated that way. It's just bullshit. But that's okay, though. Maybe later on we'll find out who she was. We'll find out who she is. We'll give that body that was in bed, getting bodied, a name. And that would be really, really awesome, man, to see in the future. The perfect thing about Bruce Wayne was, his age. You can tell that he just knew more than the Superman, the sophomore year Superman. This was a veteran. This was like a damn PhD, doctorate, master mason. He was the equivalent of like God, to be honest, man. He was just schooling, Superman left and right. Superman arrives to meet up with Batman to try to convince him to fight on his side. And this veteran this veteran Batman and this sophomore, Superman, the veteran Batman begins to walk back as Superman walks forward. And Superman literally walks right into Batman's trap. And he does it again every single time, man. It's fascinating to see, just what Gotham City has taught this Batman. It's so cool. It's so cool, man. And I like the amount of gadgets that we saw. Batman's all about his gadgets, but one thing I will say is I don't think he touched his utility belt. I don't think he touched that utility belt one time. And if he touched it, it was probably, you know, to take those grenades out. But I didn't actually physically see him reach into his pouch and grab anything out. I think it was just given to him by, you know, some assistant on the side, you know, while they were filming. I don't believe that he reached inside, you know. One of my favorite scenes with Batman was when he was punching Superman. And he punches him a couple of times as he's hurt, you know, because of the kryptonite. And he punches him in the face, and he punches him in the face. And, you know, it's hurting him. It's hurting Superman. It's hurting Superman over and over again. Then all of a sudden it stops hurting Superman. And you start to see that the punches aren't affecting him. And now Batman is actually punching Steel. He's actually punching the Man of Steel. Really, really cool the way that they did that and executed that. It was really, really awesome, man. They should probably sell that as a toy, you know, crushed glove Batman, you know, to where you can punch the Man of Steel too. Punch the Man of Steel so much that your gloves will break, because that's exactly what happened. He smashed his gloves. He's lucky his hands didn't, you know, get, you know, broken up, man. Because, you know, if you remember, Floyd Mayweather talks about that. The more you've been fighting, the longer you've been fighting as a fighter, even when you're wearing those padded gloves, you know, your hands do get affected later on. You know, Muhammad Ali, Floyd Mayweather, all those great fighters, man. Sugar Ray Leonard, you know, Mike Tyson. They all talk about that, how their hands will hurt, man. So you got to take care of your hands. So hopefully Batman's doing that. The other thing that I liked was the Batmobile and the Batwing. They didn't really show a whole lot of like first time moments for Batman. And I don't know if that's because of the Dark Knight trilogy. I'm thinking that that's what it's for, because here's what really fascinated me about this, guys. Zack Snyder and everybody, they said that Christopher Nolan wasn't a part of this movie anymore. But at the end of the movie, in the credits, Christopher Nolan is on as executive producer. So I'm wondering if because of that, you know, Christopher Nolan would have to, you know, see the final cut and said, you know what, you should probably leave out that. You know, we've seen, you know, Batman suit up many times before. We've done that, you know, get rid of it. I'm wondering if that's the reason why, man. I really am, because for me, I felt that those were missed opportunities, man. And I'm sorry, guys. It's 5:44 p.m. on 5/20 or 3/25/16, March 25th, 2016, man. So once again, happy Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice Day. I've been getting a little tired, so I might start to slur my words and stuff like that. But just continue with me, guys. We're going to continue on this journey. We're just talking about Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. And, you know, hopefully I already put the, you know, if you haven't had an opportunity to watch Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, stop listening now. If I didn't, I apologize for that. That's because I'm sleepy. And, yeah, let me drink some of this this good Dr. Pepper cherry. This is the limited edition 3 of 5 that has Wonder Woman on there. Really, really good. I've never actually had Dr. Pepper cherry before. It's way better than Dr. Pepper, because Dr. Pepper tastes like shit. Literally, like somebody opened up their butt cheeks and put it in the can. It's disgusting. But, you know, cherry, not too bad. And plus, it's Wonder Woman, so it's almost like I'm drinking her. You fill in the blank. Yeah, it's getting pretty R-rated in here. All right, so we're back. I think I feel a little bit better. I have a little bit of energy now because of this sugar that's going into my body and giving me diabetes. Let's continue on, man. Bruce Wayne, he's seasoned. He is faster than we have ever seen on film. Scarier. To me, this isn't a Batman film or a Superman film that should be seen by children. All the way up to probably the age of 13 or 14 years old. I would not bring anyone underneath that. And one of the major reasons is because of the nudity, and because of the content, and because of the demonic stuff that they have inside of here. Not saying that it's like for, you know, Satan worshippers or anything like that, no. But there is a devil moment with Batman, sort of a man-bat situation, and there is a dark side sort of futuristic nightmare Batman scene that it will terrify, kids, man. There was a kid inside the audience today that had to be taken out twice. So just want to kind of put that out there. The parent was just a complete dumb piece of shit. That once again deserves to have nothing more than his kids taken away from him until he can go through some sort of some sort of training to where he can just figure out what the hell's wrong with his life and why is he torturing his children. But yeah, and the kid, he said it too. Dad, I'm scared. He said it several times. And the dad tried to shush him, and then all of a sudden he just started crying. I was like, good job, Timmy. I'm glad that you got your dad to get you out of there. And then one of the kids, and the second time I went to go see it at 10 o'clock, he started crying too, and his dad took him out the movie, and they did not return. So bravo to that dad at the 10 o'clock showing of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice in Gulfport, Mississippi. You did a great job, and I salute you for that, because you're not a shitbag. All right? That other dad at 6 o'clock, you're a shitbag. Kill yourself. I really liked the scare factor of not knowing what was going to happen when you're on a scene with Batman. You didn't know if the demon was going to pop out. There was a mention of the devil at the beginning of the movie whenever you get introduced to Gotham City for the first time and the Batman. The prisoners that are being held, they could be either sex slaves or something like that. We never know. Just depends on what the storyline. To me, it felt like they were sex slaves or some sort of slaves in general. And they did not want to leave the cage because the Batman was present. The demon, the devil, was actually there. Fascinating stuff. I couldn't believe it, to be honest, man. When they got upstairs and you saw the first time you see the branding, it's pretty violent. It actually looks like, they used a branding machine to brand this guy's skin. I don't know. Maybe it could possibly be, something that they did, strictly for the movie. And the guy that got branded, this little thug gangster guy, he actually has a branded Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice symbol on him, okay? So he has the new Batman symbol branded on his chest. I don't know. It could possibly be that, though, because it looked really, really real. Let me pause for a second and let me talk about this, because I'm glad I actually said that. There's a big difference between Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. And this might actually be one of the reasons why, or, because there's a long laundry list of fucking reasons why, these critics and these so-called comic book fans hate this movie. Number one, the presence of Rat Race, I believe it's Rat Pack. I keep saying Rat Race because of the double R's. I believe it's Rat Pack Entertainment. Let me type that up on Google real quick. Give me 1 second. Let me see. Rat Pack Entertainment. There it is. Yep. Rat Pack Entertainment, which are the same people that are responsible for Dune. Okay? And if you're familiar with Dune, Dune is an amazing movie. Amazing movie. But one thing about Dune is that it does not look real. Okay, there are moments where the CGI is just not up to par. There are moments inside of Batman v Superman where 3D, and let me go ahead and be very, very specific when I'm talking about this. If you watch Batman vs Superman for the first time in 3D, and then you gave it a rating, you are a complete fucking moron. What do I mean by that? Legendary Pictures, they're gone. Okay, Legendary, they dropped out because Warner Brothers Pictures and DC Comics, they couldn't reach an agreement, okay? They couldn't reach an agreement on the money, on the back end, because the Man of Steel Blu-ray, DVD, home video sales made a boatload of money. I mean, they made a ridiculous amount of money. It was the #1 selling Blu-ray for, I think, like 4 to 8 weeks. Beating out Iron Man 3 back in the day, beating out a lot of the different films. I mean, pretty much every film that had came out. And I think the only one that came in and took it off the top was, I think, one of the Hunger Games films. And after that, Legendary Pictures, they came back and they wanted to do a contract extension or whatever, and they couldn't agree on the money. And then all of a sudden, Rat Pack Entertainment came in and they took over, and that's one of the main reasons why we didn't get Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice in 2015, and then it got pushed back to 2016. They try to blame it on the, putting all the script together, getting everything right. No, it was all about money. Don't let them fool you like that, people. It's not that simple, or it's really not. I guess you can say that type of show to where they're going to tell you the truth about that. What I'm trying to do is you hear a little bit of clicking. It's just me. I'm just messing around with something real quick to make sure that I can edit this later on. Okay, so if you notice some of the moments where the CGI was kind of shoddy, that's the reason why. And yeah, that's a good segue. The Batmobile sequence looks a lot better in 3D in 2D versus 3D. All of the Batmobile sequences, they look better in 2D versus 3D. 3D, they look like shit. They look like it's not real. It's just bad. If you sit closer to the theater, in the first, I'd say 5 to 6 rows, the movie's going to look a whole lot better. If you're sitting back further, it's not looking that good. I'm being real with you. I try to give people the most honest opinions on my movies, and I try to give them the most precise, because it's a lot of money nowadays, especially for a family, okay? Well, if I'm just talking to a whole bunch of my fellow single, bachelor guys out there and bachelorette girls, I don't really care what you spend on your movie. I'll tell you to go see it regardless. But for a family, it's very expensive, with, tickets $12.75 a shot. Some places they're $20, some places they're $15. Some people paid even more to go see the premiere of Batman v Superman. Okay, and when you take a small family, of 3 or 4, sometimes you're looking at $80 to $100 when you're looking at concessions and all that. All right, so this is reality. So it's very important to get a proper rating for a show, a proper review of a show, but you can't be biased and you can't judge a comic book movie on some fucking scale that's unreachable. This has nothing to do with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This has nothing to do with anything except DC Comics and what DC Comics is trying to do. It has nothing to do with anything else, so you have to approach it that way. The Batmobile wasn't displayed properly inside this movie. That is a fact. On entry, going back into the Batcave, it was done right. The Batcave wasn't shown a lot. But what was given, you saw enough of the gadgets. But it wasn't like this. I know it's not the first time we've seen Batman, and we know what the Batcave looks like. We've seen it, where movies have shown us that, with Batman Begins, and Batman and Robin, and Mask of the Phantasm. We've seen all of these different Batcaves and what's in them. But it would have been nice to see, get a tour of the Batcave, get a tour of the Batmobile. Alfred was fixing it. They could have showed some of it during the time that he was fixing it. What are you fixing, Alfred? What are you working on the Batmobile? What are you trying to do? What are you accomplishing there? What is the Batmobile made of? How is it that 50 cal, bullets can't, penetrate the Batmobile? How is it that the Batmobile can fly? How is it that the Batmobile can, land on top of another vehicle and then crash down on the floor and never breaks an axle? How is it? Explain some of these things. And I know later on in life, after Ben Affleck, finishes this movie that he's directing for Warner Brothers Pictures that's coming out really soon. It just got a release date and everything. We'll get a Batman film, and that's fine. And then maybe even in Suicide Squad, they'll probably show some of that stuff, because the entire movie isn't about Suicide Squad. We figured that out now. It's going to have something to do with Batman. But I guess there should have just been more justice on the Batman. Okay? Same thing with Wonder Woman. We didn't get a whole lot of information there. We just got that. I lost a little bit at the end. Let me see if I can try that again. Yeah, that's it. That's the Wonder Woman theme song. Okay, that's the Wonder Woman theme song. And she stole the show to me. Okay, well, we're not going to talk about her. We already talked about her. Let's move on to my guy. And I'll spend the next 30 minutes talking about Superman. Talking about Clark Kent. We talked about everybody else. Alfred. Did we do Perry White? Let's do Perry White for just a couple of minutes. Perry White was, I'd say, 70% different from Man of Steel when you compare him to this Batman v Superman. Perry White was a good Perry White. Lawrence Fishburne always does an amazing job with Perry White. But this Perry White felt a little Marvelish. But it also felt as if it was taken from Superman the movie. So there was a little bit of homage and nod to the old, and then a little bit taken from Spider-Man. I'm going to go ahead and say that. And the reason why, man, is just because of some of the things that he was doing inside there. But I did love the comedy. I did love that. And it wasn't like there was just nonstop comedy and comedy to make you laugh all the time and, none of that Marvel stuff. It was the right amount of comedy at the right times, and everything worked out, man. I really, really do appreciate what they were able to do with this movie as far as with Perry White and the comedy. It was really, really good stuff, man. And I love the interactions between Clark Kent and Perry White. And then at the end, Perry, he misses Clark. He misses that relationship that he has with that young reporter that he sees so much potential in that he actually misses him. And it gets frustrating to him that he doesn't even really want to report on it anymore because it's very sad. He lost another one. And we don't know where Clark Kent is at. Or, well, Perry White doesn't. Let's go to Superman. Number one, the first thing that I said when I was talking about Batman versus Superman and the announcement and, for Man of Steel 2, as soon as Man of Steel ended, I said, the first thing that I want out of the next Superman movie is I want Superman to talk. I think we got 7 minutes and some odd seconds of Superman talking inside of Man of Steel. And you can literally count those occasions on your finger. It was literally in the bar, the Fortress of Solitude in the training. It was with his dad in the truck. It was with General Zod during the trials and tribulations. And then it was with some of the Kryptonians and General Zod right before snapping his neck. And that was literally it, man. This movie, it triples the time that Superman gets to talk. It triples the time that Clark Kent gets to talk. And it's a Superman movie, even though Batman is at the forefront. It's still told from Batman's perspective to a point. And then it flips and it's told from Superman's perspective. And then all of a sudden Superman gets killed, and then now I think that Batman is back on top. I don't really respect that, but I know that it was necessary. Number one, for financial gain. Number two, because Henry Cavill is going to be paid quite a bit more going forward. That would be his third Superman appearance. Okay, so we need to let him rest for just a little while. Same thing with Lois Lane. Same thing with Perry White. All these people need to kind of chill out for a little bit. And the reason why is because we need to tell other people's stories. So, Superman is different in this movie. He's more alert to the world around him. He's trying to do a lot more with saving people and showing that, I guess, that display of heroism, that display of hope. But then there comes a point, man, especially with all the death that occurs inside of this movie, where he kind of throws away the old ideas of who he was and who he was raised by, Jonathan Kent. And then he has to go find himself. He has to do some soul searching. That for me was really a great moment. I'm not going to say where that moment took place at. I'm not going to say why it took place. I would just say that having Kevin Costner back on film with Henry Cavill, it was amazing. The one factor I think that was missing in this was most definitely Jor-El, excuse me, with Russell Crowe, and there was a missed opportunity because Jor-El could have whenever the ship started back up again, it was at 37%. Jor-El could have popped up and appeared there. And that would have been some really nice banter between Lex Luthor and Jor-El, but it never happened. I don't understand the reason why. Maybe it's because Russell Crowe cost too much. Who knows? Dang, I wish they would have done that though. The answers of are there more Kryptonians or are there more aliens? I think it was answered tonight with the metahumans. So Superman, whatever happens when he returns, he'll have more of a mission to do to try to keep up with those guys. The number one thing that I'm really concerned about is that Superman sacrificed himself tonight and being killed by Doomsday. Superman will now return to the Justice League or return as a bad guy, and he'll have to prove himself to the entire team because the team should be assembled by the time that Superman comes back. Tonight proved that Superman is powerful, but he is not all powerful, all knowing, all I guess solo-ish. He does need a team in order to defeat. Superman still has not learned about the ice breath. He still hasn't learned about the sonic boom clap. There's a lot of different moves, fighting moves that Superman just hasn't gotten down. He hasn't gotten down the Superman punch when he flies up in the air, comes straight down, and pretty much like a damn nuke on the damn ground as far as punching the ground and setting things off. He hasn't done that yet. There's still a lot of improvements that Superman can do. He can improve upon coming forward, and it just depends on if the Justice League is going to be his friend, his ally, or they're going to be his enemy. That's the thing, man. Let me kind of start from the beginning of the movie, and then we'll work backwards talking about Superman. And then after that, that will be it for the entire Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice review for this podcast review. The movie begins with the interest of Clark Kent inside of this vigilante justice that's occurring inside of Gotham. The criminals are being branded, and they are being branded by this devil, this demon, the thing called the Batman. And Clark Kent wants answers. And Perry White does not want him to get those answers because nobody gives a damn about Clark Kent versus the Batman. Nobody cares about it. Nobody's reading papers anyway. They want, puff piece, and they want happy stuff, and they want, I guess, stuff that's realistic and not, tinfoil hat stuff. So anyway, Perry White tells Clark Kent to, go and do a report on sports. And Clark Kent, being Clark Kent, doesn't listen to Perry White. He goes to this gala for Lex Luthor, and Lex Luthor holds this thing. That's where you see in the trailer where Lex Luthor and Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne, they meet for the first time. Inside of the actual gala, you see Gal Gadot, Wonder Woman, Diana Prince. She's there. This is the first time that we get that real lock on her, man, and it's fascinating, really fascinating stuff what you see, man. Bruce Wayne pursues another hidden objective inside of his inside of this party, and Clark Kent goes for Bruce Wayne to ask him questions. That's when they first meet. That's when you get that whole entire, don't listen to what you don't always listen, believe what you see, son, and all this other cool, one-liners, man. After that, during the gala, there is this downstairs. There's these workers, these servers. They are watching the television. There's breaking news from the Day of the Dead celebration. There's a factory that's on fire, and Superman, he leaves the Bruce Wayne situation at the Lex Luthor gathering. And he goes and he saves this little girl from this factory, and it's a moment that transitions and segues into what it is to be a human on Earth, philosophies, religious ideology, all of this different stuff, begins to kind of flow out, especially inside of the jargon that's on the narrative. And they show different, situations where, Superman, he rescued the girl at the Day of the Dead. Transitional segue to Superman, pulling this ice, I guess you could say, some sort of ship out of the ocean. Me personally, I think it's the same ship that Aquaman was seen in. There's another part of me that says that it's another ship that either was sinking or had sunk at one particular time. Don't really know. They didn't really tell us that much, but that's my guess. Another one is where this rocket explodes and Superman saves the astronauts that are inside. It explodes right after takeoff. Then after that, there's this flooding event, and they have this family that we saw in the trailer that are on top of the house, and then they wave out to Superman, and then he rescues them there, and then after that, Senator Fisk, she, comes up with the idea to have the hearing and stuff like that. Superman makes up his mind to go and actually appear in court. And what we get from there is the explosion that happens in the Senate building, killing everybody. Superman is inside of the flames, and he just has his eyes closed, and he knows exactly what's happening. He goes and he reports, I guess, back to Lois Lane. Not really reports, but just kind of checks in with Lois Lane and says, you know what? I failed today, and the reason why I failed is because I wasn't actually looking. Then he goes off to the Fortress of Solitude. It's like a mini Fortress of Solitude in this new location. It's not an actual building. It's just a location. That's where most Kryptonians go. They go to where no one else can kind of follow them, but there is someone waiting for him, and that is Jonathan Kent, his father, and they have a moment to where it kind of boosts him back and pushes him back into reality. They come back to, or Superman comes back to reality. He tells Lois Lane, that he had to go away or whatever. But it's kind of like one of those. One of those understood things. She says you came back, and then after that, he flies back up there. What happens and occurs is that Lex Luthor meets Lois Lane on top of this building. He doesn't meet her. He actually has his henchmen go and take her there. And then he pushes Lois Lane off of the building. And then Superman catches her. And then after that, that's when, that happens. And then after that, he flies back up there. Lex Luthor has captured Ma Kent and has her a prisoner, which is a really, really strong performance. And What I'm skipping is what I'm going to talk about in another podcast, and I'm skipping the gigantic fight with Batman, and I'll get to there in a second. But I want to kind of go through a couple of things before I do that, and I'm almost out of time. When Superman gets to the top of LexCorp, and he begins to listen to Lex Luthor talk about this spiel about the reasoning everything is happening and why you will fight, and God versus man, day versus night, the son of Krypton versus Bat of Gotham, all this other stuff. It's the only moment where you see the weakness, the weak side of Superman, and his weakness is his mother, it's family, it's loyalty, it's Superman. That's what the character is. He will always try his best to protect, and then he has to make the decision: do I kill Batman, or do I lose my mother? It's the same situation he was put in with General Zod, except this time there's more than one option. Death is not the only option. So the lessons have been learned from Man of Steel. Man of Steel taught him that, yes, it is okay to kill when necessary, but let's try to find another way. And the other way is Batman. So then he goes and he approaches Batman, tries to convince him. They come out with this fight. It's really some of the most beautiful, thought out fight sequences that you'll ever see. Every single fan, a Batman fan or a Superman fan, they're going to be happy. You're going to be happy because each side has its own moments where they win. Each side has a tipping point where, Batman is strong, Superman is strong, Batman is weak, Superman is weak. And then later on, right when darkness is about to prevail and Superman is about to be killed by Batman, the only thing that remains is what they have in common. And that common factor is their mother. And Lex Luthor had talked about that, and he touched upon that, and Martha, Kent and Martha Wayne, that name, Martha, the love, the mother, them being orphans, They have a lot in common, and that's what this movie is so brilliant about, man. And I think a lot of people miss that. These two superheroes, they seem like they're so different because one's an alien, one's a man, but they're actually similar. In Batman, you can feel the remorse and the regret from this at that very moment, and that's why he chooses to go rescue Martha, and that's how the rest of the movie finishes. And then obviously with Doomsday, the creation of Doomsday through Lex Luthor, utilizing General Zod's body and DNA from his own hand by cutting himself. So you have man mixed in with you have Kryptonian DNA mixed in with man, and man mixed in with Kryptonian DNA. That creates the Abomination, and he learns about this through the Fortress of Solitude, or I guess you could say the World Engine, through Kryptonian knowledge that teaches him that. And if you watch the Man of Steel Blu-ray, special features, that's the same exact place where you can get it at. That's the same exact knowledge going through the Kryptonian training. That's what he went through. So if people are wondering, she said, has, over what is it, 11,000, knowledge, or something like that, from 11,000 galaxies or some crap like that. It was a ridiculous number that he wasn't going to be able to learn in such a short time. But, him being a genius that he is, he's going through looking for something that can destroy, Kryptonians. And that's what he found. He found what they were talking about on the Man of Steel Blu-ray. And you can check that out on my videos inside of my YouTube channel. It talks about that. I talk about that, when I found it and I discovered it on the Blu-ray. It's hidden in the Blu-ray, but it's really, 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 really easy to find, man. They talk about this curse, this abomination. That's what they were talking about, man. And hopefully in the future we'll talk about that and see that a little bit more. I would like to see Doomsday return. I think that Doomsday was used properly. He was scary, he was terrifying, and he evolved just like they said he would. And he was only going to get bigger, and eventually he would get to the point where you could not kill him, you could not penetrate his skin because it would just be covered with that stone. And Superman was able to break through by sacrificing his life, man. And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful sacrifice. I cried my eyes out. I'll continue to bawl my eyes out. That's just the way it is. And I'm hoping that this story continues, man. Superman was buried, and then the gravel rises up, the dirt rises up, and then he should be resurrected. Now, if he comes back the same way, that's a good thing. If he comes back different, we never know. Whatever the case is, he'll have the blood of Lex Luthor inside of him and the blood of Doomsday. So that black blood was inside of his cut, inside of his wound. It was probably healing. We never know, man. I have no clue what's going to happen. But there is hope. At the end, that's what remains, man, is hope. We're out here, guys. That's it, man. That's my time. Yeah, thanks again, man, for always listening and for watching and subscribing and, continuing to carry my YouTube channel, guys. I really appreciate it, man. There's 2,500 plus of you guys right now, and we're just continuing to grow. I never push subscribers. I never push, views or likes or any of that stuff. I really, really haven't, and I'm so thankful, man, that you guys, have just clicked the button, and I appreciate it. I really do, man. I always say, how YouTube operates. You've been on YouTube for 10 plus years, or using YouTube for 10 plus years. You understand how this thing works, man. So do whatever makes you feel happy. That's what I live by, and I hope that making you guys happy by putting this content up on my channel, that's what makes me happy. As long as you guys are happy, man. I'm out of here. That is it. Thank you guys again, and I'll have a ton of Batman v Superman stuff coming up. There will be giveaways. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you are following. Make sure that you are on Facebook. Message me. This is literally all you have to do. Find the video, watch the video. If it has clues or whatever the situation may be, to answer it, the easiest and fastest way is to comment on the video, or go on to Translucent Origin on Facebook and leave a message there, or on my Twitter, or on my Facebook, my personal Facebook. It just depends, wherever you want it at. That's the easiest way, Just gonna be honest with you. And if you got any questions, man, you can actually head over to Ben's page. All right, and that's the Stratman. You can head over there, and there's a video of him doing the unboxing. It's the exact same giveaway. Okay, so you guys can get an idea of what's in there, what the giveaway's all about. Right here, that's it. I'm exhausted. It's 6:15 in the morning. I gotta be up in like 4 hours to go watch Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice again for the third time.